Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com, along with a focus on Army specialists. We've got James Wagenseller, the punter, first, and then we're going to talk with the place kicker, Dawson Jones. And the Union, as Coach Saturnia refers to the specialist, looks really strong this year. Obviously, Owen Walter's a team captain. We spoke with him down at American Media Day. The offense looks really strong and returns a lot of starters. But honestly, if we're to evaluate all three units of the team separately, special teams may be the strength for the 2026 team at Army. For you first, James, what are your goals this year and what are you working on improving? And how much has your confidence grown over the last year? You got a decent number of reps in last year. I'll get into that a little more, but just talk to your confidence and what you're working on improving.
Yes, sir. So my number one goal, like always, is help the team win. That's the most important thing, especially as a specialist, and a punter specifically. Field position, my main job is just to help the defense, help us get good field position and put us in the best place possible. Confidence has grown a lot over the last year, going from my sophomore year to my junior year, I got better, statistically. So I'm hoping for the same gains this year. And yeah, special teams is a huge part of the game. It's a third of the game, and I think we have a really good shot. Punting, kicking, kickoff, snapping, all the above to really help the team this year.
Good stuff. And, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but I just want to kind of hover over it a little more. The importance of being able to flip the field, especially, in tight defensive struggles like the CIC games are usually, right? I think we see anybody who's been watching Army football any length of time, the importance of the punter is definitely elevated in the CIC games because of the type of games those are. We know Coach Monken hates punting and would rather he never have to put you on the field, which I completely understand. But your skills really seemed to shine last year in the CIC games, and they're elevated in those games. Talk a little bit more to the importance of being able to flip the field, especially in a tight game like what we see in the two CIC games.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's no secret. The two CIC games are, probably the two most important games you play all year. And as you say, they're usually a fist fight in a phone booth. Both of them last year were one possession games. But at the end of the day, and nothing changes. It's the same as it is in practice. It's the same as it is first game, same as it is, fourth quarter Army Navy. You can't let the highs, get too high. You can't let the intensity, the importance of the game get into your head. Special teams, kicking and punting, is big. It's a big mental battle just as much as it is physical. And Coach Stat, he has us practice the mental side just as much as we do the physical side. And it really helps and, really adds to just the tools in our bag as specialists to be able to perform under pressure.
Good stuff. And, there's really two major key parts of being a good punter, right? The ability to just bang the ball and just boom it over guys' heads and, get 50, 60, maybe even 70-yard punts in a few strange cases. But the probably even more important skill is the ability to stick teams deep in their own end, back against their goal line, inside the 20, which, of course, everybody keeps stats on. Talk about that part of your game a little bit. And are you more of a guy who likes to hit it high and just have it bite almost like a good golf shot into the green, or are you a guy who aims for the coffin corner?
Yeah, so I mean, if we're talking about trying to pin them deep, I'm only maybe a quarter of that operation. Yeah, I'm the one punting, but at the end of the day, it's my protection. They give me time back there, to let the gunners get deep. And at the end of the day, it's really the gunners. I mean, I think almost every punt that I've had inside the 10 has been caught by our gunners. So, Chris Williams, Jackson Hammonds, Jabril, last year, it's really them who are kind of the the unsung heroes, I think, everybody says, oh my gosh, what a punt. But I mean, that ball could have rolled into the end zone if it wasn't for them. So that's the importance in pin punting is really the credit should really go to those guys. And I mean, you talked about flipping the field. I could say the same thing goes for that. It doesn't matter if I hit a 70-yard punt if they return it 30 yards, so I think people, overall should give more attention to the coverage because I mean that's a hard thing, for you as a gunner, for you, as a punt coverage player to go down there and try and make an open field tackle. I mean, I like to think I'm an athlete, but I sure as heck couldn't do that. So, I'm just really thankful that we got some great guys on our punt team that are able to get down the field quickly and, close space and make those tackles.
No, that's a really good point. I mean, that is a really hard job, and being able to time it right so you don't hit the returner before he catches the ball, but you hit him right afterwards. Being able
Yes,
to
sir.
down the punts, how many games do people watch on a regular basis where the punter does hit a great punt down by the goal line, but then it rolls into the end zone? So that skill set's super important. Thanks for your time today, James. Appreciate it. Let's get Dawson on here now. We'll talk a little bit about the place kicking aspect of special teams. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hey, Dawson, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Good. So, we'll start off. You had 3 clutch field goals against Navy last year, and we were all hoping you'd get a 4th, but didn't happen. We didn't get put in that position. You had the game winner against Air Force. You had a couple other clutch kicks down the stretch as the year went on, for sure. What did being able to handle that pressure do for your confidence? And how confident are you now that you can do what you need to do when called upon in tight games this year? And, James mentioned it, a big part of special teams is mental, especially for place kicking, right? I mean, I'm sure in practice, there's plenty of times you bang out really good field goals, but then we all see during the game, guys miss field goals that they should probably make. So talk a little bit about your confidence, what last year did for you, and what you do mentally to kind of build that confidence.
Yes, sir. Definitely. The mental game is by far the biggest aspect that we have to work on. I feel like more than the technical side. Last year, obviously, the start of the season was not the way we wanted to start the season, especially me personally. And so confidence was definitely a struggle and something that we're trying to find throughout the year. And honestly, the confidence has skyrocketed. And yes, having some good results when it comes to the field goal unit and the CIC games definitely boost confidence. But honestly, just the entire operation we have, the guys who work their butts off to block, having a snapper and Owen. Last year we had Cooper holding. This year, Matt Falk is holding, and just guys who do their jobs at such a high level. And when they constantly execute, my confidence builds because I know they're going to do their job and I can focus on myself and just preparing myself. And that's something that this offseason has been a big focus on, is just how can I mentally prepare myself for those moments to continue trying to execute that we did towards the end of last year.
Cool. And, talk about your range a little bit. What do you feel comfortable telling Coach Saturnio your range is right now? Like, and then maybe follow that up with what's the longest field goal you've made either in high school or last year?
I feel comfortable anywhere high 50s, low 60s. I think it's all really just dependent on the situation and, the weather. And there's a lot of factors that go into how far we have in that day. Last year, career long in game was 48. That was the longest I've ever attempted in a live game. So currently that's where we're at.
Good. And what's kind of the number one skill set you're working on improving the most between now and opening day in a couple of weeks?
Honestly, just mentally is still the skill set. Technically, put in a lot of work and still trying to develop from last year, but I still feel like the area I have the most improvement available is in the mental game and just changing how I prepare. Last year, I felt unprepared in some moments, and that's a personal fault of mine and something that I wanted to make sure is fixed this year. And as we're getting closer to the opening game, kind of getting some of the same feelings as last year. You see it closer on the schedule. And so trying just to attack these next couple of weeks differently than I did last year is the goal.
Yeah, I want to just hover over something you just said there. You mentioned that you said you felt a little unprepared at times last year. Why is that, and what are you doing to improve in that area?
Mainly the unpreparedness I felt was coming from I had not started a college football game before. So there's just a lot that goes into just how you attack going to your first game as a starter. I'd played some snaps in earlier games, but knowing that you're the one who's going to go out on the first special teams play is just a different mindset. And it's something you try to prepare for, but I feel like it's hard to prepare for just because the adrenaline and all the emotions and how it feels to go into your first game as a starter is something it's really hard to match in a practice or any sort of environment. So I just felt unprepared because I didn't know what to expect. Trey Granati the year before was a fantastic mentor for me and, helped me a lot. And, I'm super thankful for it. And so it was just, he had told me like, there's going to be some level of unpreparedness. And so now this year, just a confident unit, this field goal unit has put in so much work together. And so knowing that we have prepared so hard and that we're coming in with a lot of confidence and that we're going to go execute together and everybody's going to do their job, it's a lot different this year.
Good stuff. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, right? Probably, I don't know what kind of, if they have any monitors on you, your heart rate or whatever else, but you're probably skyrocketing in that first game. Speaking of which, when I was a cadet, we had our kicker at the time. This is way back in the dark ages. Was a guy named Pat Malcolm, and he made a 49-yarder to beat Navy at the end of the game my senior year. And one of the things he talked about, I had a good friend of mine who was a colonel that worked in the Center for Enhanced Performance. I'm not sure if it even has the same name now, but basically he worked with Pat a lot on visualization exercises, breathing, things like that. Can you talk a little bit about some of the specifics around what you do mentally to get prepared, whether it's, meditation, breathing, prayer, visualization exercises, anything like that?
Yes, sir. So kind of all the above. First off, Coach Saturnio is very big into this, and he does a fantastic job at teaching it. And it's something I had never done before I came here, so it was very new to me. And it was something that I didn't really truly understand the importance of until last year. And so being able to develop, we do a lot of visualization, and especially now that I can visualize some of those moments that I've gotten to be in, being able to visualize and know how it feels so I can better prepare myself during those visualizations and make them a little bit more real. We do a lot of breathing exercises. That's been something we're trying to take onto the field, and I've really been practicing, and a lot of prayer. I'm big with my faith, and so that's been something we're going to carry into this year.
Awesome. Last question for you. Are we going to see you on kickoff as well this year, or are you just sticking the place kicking?
We have a very talented room currently, and a lot of guys can kick off and service the team really well. And so, honestly, we're just all competing and making each other better. And so, whoever goes out opening game is going to do a fantastic job.
Very cool. Thanks for your time tonight, Dawson. Look forward to seeing you opening day in just a little over 2 weeks now. Go Army, beat Bryant, and beat Navy.